What's up guys, AD back with another Destiny Child video here on the channel, and in today's video everyone, we are going to be overviewing the World Boss Trials Season 28 team guide for the Guilty Gear Strive collaboration event featuring Soul as our boss character. So before we get started, make sure to leave a like on this video, as well as be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet already, as well as feel free to check out channel memberships down below if you're interested in further supporting the channel, and of course a huge thank you to all of the members that have joined so far. But with all of that being said, let's get started here with the World Boss Trials Season 28 guide here for Soul. So as you can see on screen, we do have the guide here alongside the boss skills from the Japanese server. So these skills are subject to change of course, but I would highly doubt that they are going to be, since Japan does manage to pretty much translate the same skills over to the global version. But of course, if there's some game breaking change here in the boss kit, I'll be sure to update you all in a separate video. As for the JP Soul World Boss skills subject to change on global, we have the tap skill here, which attacks 4 targets twice, priority scalded or burned, inflict a rend, 100 fixed damage plus damage from damage over time debuff on the target 3 times on the targets, smite, stun, and skilled defense minus 15% on 4 targets with scald or burn for 16 seconds. As for the slide skill here, Soul attacks 5 targets twice, priority the highest HP, burn, skill defense minus 20%, inflict scald 500 damage over time damage for 8 seconds when hits excluding fever on the targets, as well as granting battle cry, attack plus 18%, can be stacked up to 3 times, cannot be removed to self for 30 seconds long. As for the drive skill here, attack all targets in the front row, buff blast, remove 1 buff, damage multiplier times 1000 on the targets, and last but not least here for the leader skill, debuff evasion plus 30%, all skill defense plus 80% for non-weakness attacks, as well as being immune to allure. So there's the boss skill set for Soul, of course based on the Japanese server. So hopefully this skill set does go unchanged, as it doesn't seem too difficult and it can be countered with the help of some debuffers. So let's get started with the first row here, which does feature the booster childs on the far left hand side, of course being Ram Ladal at a 60% boost at base uncap, and Melia at a 30% boost at plus 0. So you'll definitely want to include both of these units on your roster so you can take advantage of the boost for the mirror fragments. So make sure to add Ram Lethal as well as Melia onto your teams. As for the debuff counter here, we have 1 to 2 is recommended for the team. First up we do have Babel, and it's recommended to run him on slide only, as he does have charge amount minus and drive gauge minus. As for the second option here, we do have Alter Davi. It's recommended to run her on slide only, and for Davi here, she does inflict blind as well as debuff accuracy minus. Next here we have the debuff extenders. It's recommended to run 2 of these units. First up we do have Navi here. It's recommended to run her on slide only, as Navi does have overgrowth, debuff evasion minus, as well as debuff duration plus. Next here we do have Lewin. It's recommended to run her on slide only, and Lewin here does have anti-barrier as well as debuff duration plus. As for the disable strategy we have been seeing recently in the World Boss Trial, it's recommended to run Bradamante and Pan on your teams if you would like to, as you can pretty much disable the boss entirely if you do manage to run this combination. Now you will be required to run both of these characters to use this strategy, so make sure to implement both of them into your lineup if you would like to use this strategy in the World Boss Trial. It's recommended to run both of these characters on slide skill only. Moving on to the next row here, we have Dancing Blade / defense minus, and it's recommended to run 1 to 2 of these characters. First up we do have the collaboration units in Ram Lethal. It's recommended to run Ram on slide only, as she does have attack steal, debuff evasion minus, and defense minus. Next up here we have Lady Battery. It's recommended to run her on slide only, as Lady Battery does have defense minus and dancing blade. Next here we do have the weak point defense minus category. It's recommended to run 1 of these characters, and first up we do have Mercury, which is recommended to run her on slide only, and if you don't happen to have Mercury, you can run Midas on slide only. Next here we have Double-Edged Sword. It's recommended to run the one and only units here in Swimsuit Davi, and of course you'll run her on slide only. Next here we have skill defense minus. It's recommended to run Oracle Werewolf, and you should run this character on slide only. Now if you do happen to run a tap skill based attacker, make sure to run Oracle Werewolf on slide tap. Next here we have the aid category. It's recommended to run Newbie Mona, and for the skill order here you can either run her on slide or slide tap tap. As for the next row here everyone, we do have the crit buffers. It's recommended to run only one of these characters, and we do have Lupin here. It's recommended to run Lupin on 1 slide and 4 tap skills. And next up we do have Pantheon here. If you don't happen to have Lupin, then you can run Pantheon on slide only. Next here we have the offensive stance category, and it's recommended to run Guillotine, as of course she is our offensive stance character for the Fire World Boss Trials. So make sure to run Guillotine and be sure to use her on slide only. Next here we do have the offensive supporter categories, and it's recommended to run Theophano here on either slide or 1 slide and 4 tap skills. Next up we do have light type Jakangbi. It's recommended to run Jakangbi on 1 slide and 4 tap skills. Now you'll need to ignite your Jakangbi to at least 2 stars, so make sure to give her 2 cores as soon as possible to take advantage of her skill set. Next here we do have Leo here, and it's recommended to run Leo on slide tap tap. And last but not least here we have Magnificent Aura, and it's recommended to run her on slide tap tap. Moving on to the next row here everyone, we have the speed buffers slash cooldown reduction category, and it's recommended to run 3 to 4 of these units. First up here we do have Sweet Citri, and it's recommended to run her on slide only. Next up here we have Maid Citri. It's recommended to run her on slide tap tap, and if you do happen to have her ignited to at least 3 stars, you can run Citri on slide and 4 tap skills. Next here we have Tragedy Rusalka. It's recommended to run her on either tap or 1 slide and 4 taps. Following Rusalka here we do have Melia. It's recommended to run Melia on tap or slide tap here. And moving on we do have the healer category. It's recommended to run 0 to 1 of these characters. Of course, depending on if you do need more survivability, you can run a healer here. For example, we do have Freya. It's recommended to run her on slide only, as well as for Alf and Mats here, it's recommended to run them on slide only as well. Last but not least here we have the defender category of this row. It's recommended to run 0 to 1 of these units. First up we do have Nephthys here on slide only, and Zooming Mars on slide only as well. Moving on to the water attackers category, it's recommended to run 2 to 3 of these characters. First up we do have Flower of Justice Mafdet, and you should run her on slide only. Next up here we do have Eve, and she'll need to be fully ignited to be ran in the World Boss Trial. So if you manage to have her ignited, make sure to use her on slide skill only. Next up we have Cassia. It's recommended to run her on 1 tap and 4 slide skills. And moving on we do have Bari here. It's recommended to run Bari on slide only. And last but not least, it's recommended to run Thanatos on tap skill only. As for the notes here, we do have 2 to 3 attackers is sufficient. Attacker prioritization would be the 6 hit percentage base slide over the 4 hit percentage base slide, the 4 hit percentage base slide over the 6 hit slide, the 6 hit slide over a 3 hit percentage base slide, the 3 hit percentage base slide over the 4 hit tap, the 4 hit tap over a 4 hit slide, the 4 hit slide over a 3 hit tap, and the 3 hit tap over the 3 hit slide. As for our notes here on Oracle Werewolf, make sure to run her to slide tap if you are using tap attackers such as Thanatos. And the next here, if your Maid Citri is ignited to 3 stars, make sure to use 1 slide and 4 taps for the skill order. Moving on to the Soul Carta recommendations. First up here we do have the Warm Reprieve Soul Carta, as this is the best option. Next up here we do have Rusalka's Unrequited Love, which would be the second option. And last but not least here we do have Afternoon Nap, which would be the last resort. As for the debuffer Soul Cartas, first up here we have Troubleshooter Mona, as this Carta does grant a debuff accuracy plus. And the next here we have Juno's Gift, which does increase debuff duration percentage plus. As for the supporter and tank Cartas, we have Change of Air, as this Soul Carta does grant skill gauge percentage plus. And last but not least we have Showtime, as this Soul Carta does provide a debuff evasion percentage plus. Of course, the new collaboration Soul Carta featured with this event will be useful, so if you do manage to summon it, make sure to apply it onto one of your characters if needed. Moving on to the sample lineup here everyone, we do actually have one more tip towards the far left hand side, so make sure to consider testing the off elements duo of Pepita and Grilla if you would like to use these characters in the event, as Pepita is a pretty amazing off element attacker. As for the sample lineup here, we do have the first row consisting of Babel, Leo, Dio, Nubimona, Swimsuit Davi, Citri, Giltine, Theophano, Melia, Light Jakangbi, Lewin, and for the back row here, we do have Flower of Justice Mafdet, Forbidden Eve, Cassia, Navi, Oracle Werewolf, Ram Latal, Mercury, Lupin, Citri, and Mott. As for the notes here under the sample lineup, we do have always make sure to drive Guillotine before Fever Time, experiments with other drive skills and orders, examples Mercury, Oracle Werewolf, Made Citri, etc. Next here, we have test other team compositions besides the one shown above, as of course this is just a blueprint to guide you all for the beginning of the event, as of course things do manage to change throughout each world boss. Next here, we have experiments with other leader skills, examples being Babel, Ram Latal, Theophano, etc. And last but not least, the solo carta Tea Bloody Tea Time is another great option for supporters. And of course, make sure to check out my socials in the description box below if you guys are interested in subscribing to the channel, following my Twitch live stream channel, and of course joining the Discord if you do happen to need help with the World Boss Trial even further. So that'll pretty much do it for the World Boss Trial Season 28 guide for the Soul event. Make sure to let me know in the comment section below if this guide was helpful to you at all, and hopefully you guys do manage to have tons of fun in the Guilty Gear Strive collaboration on Destiny Child, as of course it's been over 2 years, but we finally did manage to receive a collaboration. So I do hope all of your pulls go very well, and hopefully this guide does manage to help you out a bit throughout the World Boss Trial. But before you go everyone, make sure to leave a like on this video, as well as be sure to subscribe to the channel, and of course check out channel memberships down below if you would like to support the channel further for a low cost and receive some emotes and channel perks in return, as well as check out the links to my Twitch live stream channel in the description box below, and of course to my Twitter account if you're interested in following me there as well. But with all of that being said, I'll catch you all in the next Destiny Child video. As always, thank you all so much for watching.